podcast. Bear with us, but we're at the end portion of the podcast. Now this is the part where we usually plug our stuff and check out our website and all the other podcasts we host. But actually, we're gonna go a little bit on what's been happening with the podcast and what's been happening with both of us. So the last time we had a podcast was like a short blurb about the Sony. What was it? Allowing crossplay. That was happening with Fortnite and all that jazz. Because we had to talk about it. It was a huge event, at least in my opinion. So you're also wondering like, how am I streaming? I am actually visiting my old house up here in Northern California, which to your dismay, I'm actually finally getting my computer sent down to Southern California, where I live at. And the reason why there has been this many podcasts for a while is, life pretty much happened. When I moved down from Northern California to Southern California, I didn't have to bring my computer with me because I kind of depend on my brother's stuff. He's a tablet and a computer that he has. And it was fine for now, but I'm kind of getting at a point where, I can't say what it is, but like I'm getting at a point where like a certain thing that may happen, will require me to have my computer so I can edit videos faster, than what I can do now with my brother's computer. And because of my new life change down in Southern California, it has been put on hiatus for quite some time. And I'm hoping to get it back up and running in terms of like the stream or just a podcast to do. Also, the fact that the scheduling will be different between me and Greg, since Greg and I, we both work, we both work at different hours every week, so our schedules don't always line up. That's why for this, late night podcast or stream. By the time if you're listening to the podcast, this is nothing new. This is for anybody watching the stream or the archive. We're doing this late at night. It's already midnight over here. Again, we're not going away. Trust me. I want to talk about game news, like every day if I can. But it is definitely a situation where life has hit us both. But it's only temporarily. So, as far as like how long it'll take, we'll see.
Yeah, it's a bit rough. Money has to be made, bills have to be paid, lots of life things have changed, and Anthony and I really want to get back to this, and we are definitely working on making that a reality as fast and as soon as we possibly can. There might be a lot of these kind of late night streams for the podcast, just because of the type of job I have and the hours that I have and the hours Anthony has. But as long as you guys are willing to listen to us, whether it's live or recorded later, we're more than willing to record it.
Absolutely. If that happens, I mean, if we're doing late night streams of the podcast, hello European listeners. We get to check out. We get to hang with the European crowd. Yeah. So that's the situation right now when it comes to the podcast and streaming wise. But yeah, don't worry, guys. We're not leaving Twitch. We're not disappearing into the ether. We'll still be around. So as long as I live, god damn it. So with that being said, let's go over the spiel of like if you enjoyed this podcast. It is on multiple services online via Anchor, via iTunes, Radio Public, Stitcher, as well as other places, including on our website at missionstarpodcast.com in the podcast section of our website. And then this is another podcast that we do, which some of these are pretty out of date only because like it's been a while, but I do intend for 2019 to be the year of me busting my ass on all of this. The Conover is a convention, or it is a convention covering podcast, which we talk about our experiences at said convention. Was it good? Was it bad? What are some of the things you could have worked on, and so on and so forth. It is called The Conover. It is on Radio Public, iTunes, and Stitcher. I think on other podcast services out there as well. I'm not too sure. I have to figure that out. Let's see. That is no longer there. Okay, so I keep, you know, I'll just talk about it, but like well, we have a movie podcast, I think. It's up. Like the RSS feed is up there, so if anybody does want to subscribe, and at some point, I guess we'll get back to it. I don't know when that'll be, but it's called Down in Front. It's a movie podcast that we do. That every time we watch a movie, we'll talk about it, depending on when it comes back, if ever. But if it's up there, you can subscribe to it on iTunes, Radio Public, and Stitcher. And yeah, that's going to do. Oh, and obviously, forgot. You can follow me on Twitter at Defective Naruto. You can follow work that we do at MissionStarPodcast.com. Greg, where can I find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and other places under Chub Rock Geek. You can also follow me on Twitter. On Twitch at Chub Rock Geek. Realistically, Chub Rock Geek is where I am most of the time. However, if you'd like to hear my opinion on shows via Netflix, Hulu Plus, Amazon Prime, what have you, I do a podcast with my buddy Josh Fisher. He's also known as Insabaner in the chat. That is called All Queued Up Podcast, which you can find at allqueueduppodcast.com. We're actually going to be recording an episode here soon on The Haunting of Hill House and Daredevil Season 3, which I'm very excited about. The current episode that's up right now is on Big Mouth Season 2 and Paradise PD. One of the fun things that I like that we do with it is giving it a 4, we give it a grade. Because that feels less arbitrary, even though it still is arbitrary. It's also a little bit more interesting and fun, I feel like. But yeah, I think that's about it at the moment. It's kind of hard to keep track of like everything that I'm doing when, you know, the job is now taking more time out of my day than I'd like it to do. But what are you gonna do?
Yep.
You gotta make money.
Yep. Unless, you know, hey, you know, if you wanna give us a particular job, I mean, there's a subscription button right above over here.
Also, if you'd like to just give me a job where I don't have to, I don't know, go to a place with human beings, I'd love that too.
Yeah. Maybe one day when this Twitch channel will get partnered one day.
Not even just Twitch. Like, if someone wants to just hire me to work from home.
Oh, well, that too. Yeah, I was thinking
Great.
you know, full-time streamer thing, but like that.
I mean, I would absolutely love that too, Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like my job. I don't like where I'm working, and I'd like to not work there no more.
Yeah, I think I'm there with you too. Yeah, but alas, that's going to end our 200 episode of our podcast. If you listen to this podcast at the end, thank you very much. And again, thank you for subscribing to our podcast. We've been doing this for 200 episodes. Probably more than that because of the E3 episodes. I guess didn't count, or the previous ones. Not this year's, but somewhere down the line. But yeah, 200 official Mission Star Podcast episodes. We made it through. Here's to another 200 more. So yeah, by that time, who knows? We might have been aged at least 10, 20 years. Who the fuck knows? That said, after show. By the way, after show is happening. So if you want to stick around and talk to us, or want to listen to my stories on TwitchCon and all that good stuff, after show is where you want to be. So with that being said, thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys